This doesn't even make no damn sense. Now, girl, if he wanted to, he would have. Even the damn proposal was lackluster. Bro is crashing out. What did you say in the messages? Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. Today, we will be talking about some stories where people just switched it up, changed the arrangements. All of the information will be included in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. Am I the a-hole for changing my mind about my wife being a stay-at-home mom since she changed the terms? I, 35 male, have been with my wife, Allie, 37 female, for 2 years, married for 1, and we are expecting our first child together in a few months. I also have 2 children, 8 male and 6 female, from a previous relationship with Alex, 32 female. And we have a 50-50 custody. However, Alex travels a lot for work, so we have the kids more than that most of the time. So we do get child support from her. Before we got married, my current wife, Allie, and I spoke extensively about what we wanted, and she was adamant about being a stay-at-home mom. I was upfront with her that I was fine with that. We'd be able to afford it, but she would need to be a stay-at-home mom for all of the kids to be able to make it work. She agreed happily. So, as you can probably predict, she sat me down the other day and told me that she wants, at minimum, her first year as a mom to only be a stay-at-home mom to our shared baby. She said after that, she can help out more with the other kids, but wants to protect her first-time motherhood and said it's her #1 boundary. So my question is, what's the current arrangement? Is she not a stay-at-home parent currently? Because who's taking care of the kids currently, I guess, is my question. And so then she would just be adding the baby. I'm guessing she just only wants, where would the kids go? I guess is like what she's saying doesn't really make sense. But then also the kids are 8 and 6, so they'll be in school for a majority of the day, except for summers. But again, when they are home, if she's saying that she doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mom for the 2 other kids that are at the house majority of the time, where are they going to go? This doesn't even make no damn sense. Now, girl, this don't even make no sense. Because how can you avoid the kids not being like, is she going to move out so she can just be with the baby by herself? I don't understand her logic. I don't understand what she's thinking is going to happen. It doesn't make sense to me. And then she's switching up she has every right to change her mind, but at the same time, he has every right to not accept the agreement. He went into this with one agreement in place. He impregnated you under a certain terms and conditions, and you are changing the terms and conditions, and he does not have to accept it. So I wonder what's going to happen. He says, I told her that would no longer work then. I couldn't support a family of 5 on just my salary without help with all of the kids. She said I needed to figure it out and respect her boundaries, but this simply won't be possible. That is one of my pet peeves. When women do that, they just expect for the funds or the help to come out of thin air. Like they have a certain lifestyle that they expect for themselves, which is fine. Like you're able to have that. But then when the man is like, I can't do that, I ain't got it. It's like, well, you need to figure out how to get it. Man, he's telling you he can't. And now you're springing this after you're already pregnant. So how is he going to have time to be able to save enough money or try to find another job? And you already got 2 kids and trying to take care of you being pregnant and trying to have to work the full-time job. How between all of that, gonna then try to figure out how to make some more money or do whatever you think needs to be done to support you being a stay-at-home mom to only one of his kids, which wasn't even the original arrangement. You're not living in reality. Now, if he had it like that, it sounds like he would, maybe, but I feel like that would be weird. You only want to be a stay-at-home mom to one of my kids. I feel like that would be a bit weird. I don't think he would even accept that, even if he could, but he can't. At some point, you have to realize the money's not coming. So either you could stay here in this situation or you could go and find another situation that you feel might be better suited for you. It's quite simple, but you can't make lemons with no lemonade. He said, we have family to help for sure, but she's saying she doesn't want to be responsible for the older kids at all for the first year. Also, we want at least one more child, and now I'm worried she'll try to extend the year with another baby. She's incredibly hurt and angry, but I don't think it would even be possible to respect her boundaries. So would I be the a-hole for reneging on my promise to let her be a stay-at-home mom? Quick edit, my ex-wife will be keeping the kids for 2 weeks after birth and has been able to be assured that she wouldn't travel for that first month if emergencies come up. I am also paying the person that I currently am paying, who picks up, watches, drops off, etc., the kids before and after school, an additional 4 weeks after Alex, the ex-wife, already has them for 6 full weeks off. So basically that will alleviate any older kid duties for Allie for about, it looks like 2.5 months, of the beginning of the, okay, so I get it. It sounds to me like maybe Allie, the current wife, currently works and OP currently pays someone to pick up the older kids, drop them off, watch them, and all that stuff. But now since she'll be staying at home, he's not going to be able to afford that loss of income and also continue to pay someone to watch the older kids. I think that's what's going on here. So that makes sense. Someone said, not the a-hole, aren't the older two in school? So realistically, she would have the entire school day, just her and the baby. That's what I was saying. They said she's being ridiculous. She can either enjoy several hours each day alone with her kid and parent her stepchildren after school as agreed, or she can put her baby in daycare and miss out on all those hours while she gets a job. Opie responded, yes, but they'd need to be taken to and picked up from school and also taken to their activities while I'm at work. I currently pay somebody to do this, but with a new baby and without her salary, I won't be able to. That's exactly what I figured was happening. And then he said, edit, stop asking about buses. This is a private school, no buses. Last edit, my ex pays for the school tuition and I would never take my kids out of a school they love just so she could be a stay-at-home mom to one of our 3 kids. Yeah, right. Another person, she needs to see the math and know that what she wants is not possible. She also needs a dictionary because that's not a boundary, it's a demand. A boundary is not something that can dictate anyone else's behavior. OP responded, yes, I have shown her the numbers, but she wants me to make it work. See, that's my pet peeve. Now you see the numbers. You see it's not gonna work. And you still trying to make it work. You have very few options at that point, so pick one. And it's not being a parent to the older kids, which you already agreed to. So maybe you can move out and make it on your own. Then you really could be a stay-at-home mom by yourself. That's really the only option here. The only other option. Or like that person said, put your baby in daycare, which I would never do. If I chose to have a baby, you think I'm gonna just give my baby to a stranger all day? A poor, helpless child who can't talk or tell me what's going on? I guess if I had to. But if I had the option, hell no, I'm not finna do that. Someone said, how? She's being unreasonable and at the expense of your older children. I'm angry for you. And then another comment, she married you with eyes wide open, fully aware that you already had children and that 2 incomes would be necessary to support the blended family. She may want something different now than she thought she would, but she needs to put on her big girl granny britches and uphold her agreement, vow, and responsibilities. That's just basic decency. Another comment, OP said in another comment that she's going on about nachoing, which is a term used by step-parent communities to mean not your kids, not your responsibility. Oh, wow. But instead of something like not wanting to discipline or contribute financially, she's going all the way to the end of the nacho spectrum where she wants 0 responsibilities for the 2 kids because she explicitly wants time alone with her biological kid for a year, so she says. I don't think this kind of rhetoric came out of nowhere. It also tells me her goal isn't as innocent as wanting to bond with her baby either. This is about her feelings towards being a step-parent to those kids. I agree. And I feel like the goalpost will just keep moving. Right now, it's, for the first year. Then it's going to be, through potty training. Then it's going to be, eventually, I don't want to be their stepmama. I don't want nothing to do with them. Somebody said, not the a-hole, but if this is how she treats your children, I suspect at some point it will cause another divorce. When you marry into a blended family, you take on those responsibilities. And how does it even work? Does she only cook supper for 3 of you? Expect before and after school care for your kids that you have to pick them up from. It doesn't make logical sense. As you can imagine, pretty much everyone is saying not the a-hole. I don't think we have to go through too many comments. I will read this response from OP though. He said, I basically confronted her and told her that her options are, she keeps working, I'm willing to support her for her 12 weeks of unpaid FMLA, but after the baby would go to the not free, but heavily subsidized daycare on site at my work, and everything else stays the same. Well, I mean, at least it's at his work, but I would just feel so heartbroken having to send my baby to daycare if I really didn't have to. He also said she doesn't go back to work and we continue paying the nanny who takes the kids to and picks up and watches the kids after school. However, this will take up all of her fun money I have allocated in our new budget. Right now, she waits tables some weekends and evenings to make extra money. I'm fine with her continuing to do that to make money for the extra stuff she wants to buy. Thanks to all the comments on Reddit, I told her I'm no longer comfortable with the idea of her being a stay-at-home mom to my kids. She can work on rebuilding that, and I know my kids still love her, but a lot of comments opened my eyes. Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with that either. He said she's completely devastated and even tried arguing that I should stop putting money into my kids' college funds so as not to take away her fun money, or, even more deranged, asked my ex-wife to take the kids out of their private school to save the money we pay towards it, uniforms and activities. Just the idea of asking that from my ex is insane. Yeah, she's starting to go off the deep end. He said, so she's currently being pretty cold towards me, not the kids though, and I'm just so over it. We have a therapist appointment Tuesday, so hopefully that will help, but she's already messed with my trust in her on this. Yeah. You want me to take my children out of private school just so that you can have extra money to spend on whatever you want to spend it on, simply because you're not willing to uphold your part of the agreement and maintain your stepmother responsibilities to those 2 kids. So you want to put my kids at a deficit so you can shop, basically. That's crazy. That's really crazy. And furthermore, also suggested to stop paying into the kids' college fund so you can shop and have fun money and do whatever. Huh? I'm sorry, but this is starting to shape up to be one of those divorceable offenses. Because as he said, at this point, it's like he don't even want her to be a stay-at-home mom. I wouldn't want someone that had this attitude towards my children to be one of the primary caretakers of my children. Absolutely not. Update 1 day later, edit to add one quick thing. I've known Allie since freshman year biology. We never dated until a few years ago, but we've always remained friends. I have known her, and this behavior is also new. She loved being a bonus mom, would be excited for the kids to come over for extra time, and would even ask me to ask my ex if she could have them randomly if she wanted to take a day off and go swimming or go to the zoo or something. I've asked her to talk to her doctor about this, and she's yelled at me about it. I have no clue what to do. I posted on another sub, but they locked and removed it for violating a rule that I honestly don't think it did. So YOLO, you can find the other post on my profile, but the gift of it is that my wife Allie and I had multiple discussions about her being a stay-at-home mom to our future kids, in addition to my 2 kids from my previous marriage to my ex-wife. However, she recently told me that she wanted the first year of our upcoming blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I talked to Allie and laid everything out. I told her that her demands were out of line and incredibly entitled, and that if she insisted on keeping them, I was no longer comfortable with her quitting her job and would not support it. Further, 2 weeks without my kids was ridiculous, so I told her that if she went into labor during our custody time, my parents would have the older kids when we were in the hospital, but I am no longer comfortable sending my kids away to their mom for 2 weeks. Other families don't normally do that, and I would not either. But for the first 2 months of us having the baby, I would keep paying the nanny and taking care of the older kids' things, which is longer than I had originally agreed. Honestly, it was also more than she'd even agreed to, so I thought it was a fair compromise. She lost her mind and flipped out at me, told me that I wasn't respecting her first time motherhood. What the fuck? And that she shouldn't have to care for, quote, kids I didn't give birth to, end quote, for the first year of her baby's life. I was honestly over it at this point and done arguing. I told her she needed to check herself and that none of this was new or a surprise. If she didn't want to do it, she shouldn't have agreed to it, and her being a stay-at-home mom was off the table. To be clear, I know I could make it work with just my salary, but it would mean taking the funds I would allocate towards her fund money for things like shopping, self-care, etc. And I'm not comfortable telling an adult dependent on me financially that she couldn't have a choice for fund money. I showed her the budget, which backfired because she said that I didn't need to defund her fund money and gave me a few solutions, sarcastic, which were take the older kids out of private school, stop putting money into my older kids' college fund, selling my boat. Those were her solutions, none of which have her sacrificing anything, only me and or my kids. And the first one was so unreasonable, I could only imagine how that conversation with my ex would go. She'd laugh me out of the country, LOL. I told Allie all of that was unreasonable and a non-starter, and honestly just made me see where her priorities are. So yeah, I told her that if she couldn't agree to common sense compromises, I could no longer trust her to be a stay-at-home mom to our older kids, that there was zero daylight in how much I cared about my older kids versus our shared baby and had to protect them both equally. The fact that she thought it was reasonable to stop saving for my older kids' college while still giving her money for Botox and highlights showed me where her priorities would lie if she no longer brought in income. I said I was no longer comfortable with her quitting her job and that since my work has, not free but heavily reduced, daycare on site, that would be the best option for our family after her FMLA leave. She doesn't get paid maternity leave, just unpaid up to 3 months, which will be fine. She's devastated and being cold towards me, but surprisingly, not my kids, which is good. I don't want to kill her dreams of being a stay-at-home mom, but I can't work with someone who refuses to be reasonable. We discussed it with our therapist last week, who wasn't exactly on my side, obviously, but was trying to point out the unfairness, and she just keeps saying she needs me to prioritize her needs and boundaries. The therapist even tried explaining that these are not boundaries, but she's not listening. In summary, I tried reasoning with my wife. She tried convincing me to stop saving. Well, anyway, we don't need another summary. Someone said, please go see a lawyer and figure out how to protect you and maybe making other college funds into a trust so it can't be touched. She is going to stay home with the baby no matter what and will start rejecting your biological kids when she doesn't get her way. OP responded, my kids' college and savings are in trusts. We had a prenup as well, so I'm not too worried about it. Another person, I'd divorce her before she can reasonably argue in court that you have to pay inflated child support and alimony. Someone said, looks like divorce number 2 is fast approaching. OP responded, I'm hoping to avoid that. She's never been like this, and it's so far out the norm. I even asked her to talk to her doctor about it, but she thinks she's just being reasonable and setting boundaries. Yikes. It's not looking good for the boy. Okay, editing Daisha here. As I'm editing, I see that there's somewhat of an additional update in his comments that he just posted more recently. He said 10 days ago, she no longer lives with me and my children. He also said, I'm in the process of divorcing her. It's obviously a bit complicated and she's desperately against it, but I'm not concerned about what she wants. And then a few days after that, he said, yep, we need to figure out custody, but she's in denial. I'm not too worried as she won't be nursing. It's not possible for her. So I think 50-50 will be easier sooner than she thinks. 50% or more is my goal. He also said the children have a therapist and the therapist has said emphatically, even she is not seeing issues, but obviously they'll continue therapy. And he also said, I have much more damnable stuff I found out about her, hence me kicking her out. She has been removed from my house and my children's lives. Jeez. So that is pretty much, I guess, the smaller update that we got from his comments. They getting a divorce and she out the house. Next story. My female 26 ex-boyfriend, male 27, said he was going to propose for the last 4 years. When I finally found the courage to break it off, he did. I don't know if I should give it another chance. Look, no. Let it be. Let it be. He's grasping at straws, trying to get it back. And then it's going to be another 4-year engagement. Then it's going to be, no. I mean, let me read it first and see what's going on. But, based off of just the title alone, I would say no. We started dating in 9th grade after he asked me out at Winter Formal 2012. Went as friends, but quickly hit it off and we were together by New Year's. From there, we got to a lot of milestones fast, and honestly, we both figured we'd be married by 2017 to 2018. The excuse at the time was we're young and still in school. I finished college in 3 years, him in 4. Both have our dream jobs and had a combined income of $144,000 a year. We have loans, but none of them are atrocious, and we lived in a home he inherited. That said, our life felt perfect by the time I was 22. That's when he started randomly inquiring about my ring size, dream wedding, whether I like gold or silver jewelry, more, etc. 22 went by and no engagement. No big deal. 23 comes and it's the same thing. I'm thinking it's any day now. 24 passes and the conversation becomes tiring. I started to ask what he's waiting for. He claims the right moment hasn't come yet. That's tough. I really feel like wisdom comes with experience, and just sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. But in this past year of me dating and being in the dating game, I guess you can say, you start to quickly learn there's not much out here. And I can pretty quickly weed out options. But within like the first or second conversation, I can say confidently like, no, this is not going to work. No, I don't want to continue with this. And so you move on to the next one. But in order to get to that point where I could quickly spot, red flags or things that I didn't necessarily like or agree with, I had to have conversations with people. I had to, go out to eat, go out to do whatever activities, not like that. And so, like I said, wisdom comes with experience. And I feel like sometimes when people have these young relationships, y'all already know how I feel about that. When people have these young relationships, I feel like sometimes they just feel that, oh, well, what if this is not the one? What if this is not the thing? What if someone else comes along who I'm more compatible with or who I might love more or something like that? I can pretty confidently say, barring, abuse, barring disagreements on like those crucial issues like kids, money, lifestyle, even damn near hygiene, intimate life. Those like, if the relationship is going good or great, if there's no super like red flags or anything like that, lock that down. If y'all on the same page about critical issues, y'all get along great, y'all making good money together in the household, lock that down. I can assure you, there's nothing else out here. But I can say this because my eyes have seen the deserted lands of the dating experience. It's nothing out here. But from someone I could see how if I was with the same person since 9th grade and now we're 26, 27, that's what, 10 years? But that's like your younger years, If I was with the same person, I could see how somebody might be a bit apprehensive to lock that down and get married because you really don't really know for real. You ain't really had enough experience for real. It's easy for me to say because I've been through it. Not like this, but I've seen what's out there and it ain't nothing out there. So I could say, lock it down. But for someone who ain't seen what's out there, might not be such a easy decision. She said it took me until age 25 to realize he often used the promise to do it when I was upset at him for something. By 26, I told myself that he had until he turned 27. His birthday was closer. After that, I'm walking away. I got my own space ahead of time and followed through. The separation was peaceful. He didn't protest much of it at all. Last week, about 2 months later, he showed up at my place. We shared locations a couple of years back and just never turned them off. I completely forgot about it. I wasn't creeped out or anything once he explained how he found me. After some catching up, he pulled out the box, all while sitting on the couch across from me. It wasn't the romantic... I know you lying. I know you lying. Nah, ain't no way, bruh. You've been promising a proposal for 4 years, and the method that you go with is showing up unannounced to her house that she didn't give you the address to, sitting on the couch across from her and just pulling out the box. Nah. This man is not serious at all. Basically, what I think happened is in that 2 months, he saw what I just said, that it's nothing out here. He quickly realized it ain't nothing out here. I need to get my old thing back. But instead of really trying to plan out a nice proposal and giving her an experience that she'll never forget, well, she won't forget this. Not in a good way. He sat across the couch from her and just pulled out the box. I know you lying. She said it wasn't the romantic on one knee, and I can't help but feel I forced his hand. This feels like a here damn more than anything else. He says I'm overthinking and he didn't realize what he had until he lost it. He never knew that marriage was that important to me. I kind of want to get back with him, but I don't want him to resent me and later on say he was forced to get married or anything. Don't do it, girl. My verdict remains the same. I know it's a platitude that is quite overused, but honestly, it is so true. If he wanted to, he would have. Do you see that even the damn proposal was lackluster? All those years of you talking about, are we getting married? When is this gonna happen? You know, and finally, he says he never knew what he lost till he got it, whatever. He never knew what he lost till it was gone. When he had the chance to really show you, he did that. Bullshit. Girl, you're still young. Go ahead and find somebody else. Because this will be the rest of your life. You know, broken promises, lackluster performance, and I just want more for you. Someone said, BS, he knew marriage was important to you. He just didn't think you'd actually be willing to leave him over it. In fact, he still doesn't, or he'd be taking responsibility for things coming to this instead of trying to make it sound like your fault somehow. He thinks if he gives you this ring and you come back, he can go right back to stringing you along with reasons like it's not the right moment to set a date for the wedding and start planning in earnest. Let him sort through why this hasn't been a priority for him, or just keep playing ignorant on his own and keep moving forward with your life. I completely agree. Either he got out there and saw that there was nothing out there, or what I'm starting to think is he just not used to being alone, but at the same time isn't really trying to lock it down. Like, it's a little bit of a codependency type of thing because they've been together since 9th grade. At the same time, he doesn't really want to marry her. He just don't want to be by himself. That's what it's starting to sound like. Someone said, yep, it feels like a shut up ring because it is one. Someone else, he used the promise of marriage to manipulate you during fights. That's a huge red flag. If it's not the promise of marriage, it'll be something else. You've been dating for almost half your life. You don't know what other relationships are like. Hell, you barely know what you're like by yourself. Spend some time being a single person for a while and get to know yourself. You'll be better off for it. OP responded, thank you. I was thinking of going to the cafe by myself for the first time today. Update 1 day later. She said, many suggested I wait, but I already knew what the correct choice was. A lot of hard truths being pointed out to me made it hard to ignore. That said, I had the ring. I never told him yes. Rather, I don't know. But he insisted I keep it. Given I decided I needed to move on, I wanted to meet so that I could give him his ring back. He agreed to at first, but was insistent on it being either at my place or his. I was already at the park with the ring in my car, and I just wanted a neutral meeting place, so I said no. He argued that it must not be that important then, so I said, Okay, I'll give the ring to your mom when I have the chance. He didn't agree to meet, but this did make him FaceTime me, so we spoke that way, and I was okay with that. The call started with him trying to negotiate a meeting location for a moment or two. Once he gave up, I told him I had questions about our breakup period. He told me I live in the past, but quickly backtracked when I said, okay, never mind, and attempted to hang up. This guy, he told me I wouldn't like the answer to some stuff, and he's right. He admitted that he saw 4 women during the 2 months, 2 of them being a 3-piece spicy. He alleged to have wanted that experience before marrying me. He also claimed that he felt inferior to me in the recent years because of how put together I am, as if he's much different. I was in shock. I'd spent these last 2 months alone and trying to heal while he's having 3-piece spices. It hurt, but it felt more like a disgust hurt than a betrayal one. Not because of the 3-piece spicy, but because he thought he could just come back when he was done having fun. So my first mind was right. He went out, he saw what he needed to see. He was like, all right, I'm done with that. Let me go ahead and get this old hag back. And he really tried it. This man ain't this. She said he asked me to come back to his place. He said the kids, 2 goldfish, miss me. I told him that I can't get back with him. I need to experience something new just like he did. He's all I've ever known, but saying this upset him and might have given me some real insight into how he felt. He called me selfish. I'm always thinking about myself. He brought up a time I went to the gym on his birthday, early in the morning, before proceeding to spend all day with him. He said, I constantly make unilateral decisions, like this one. He accused me of being with another guy and said, that's why I don't want him to come over. I should have hung up earlier. My choice was already made. Once he'd known I was set in not rekindling, he was only looking to hurt my feelings. My father offered to return the ring so that I don't have to, and I've been advised to call the police if he shows up at my place again. Despite this, I feel good. I got some answers and saw what happened when he didn't get his way. Again, I appreciate the advice. Well, I'm happy for you, sis. Godspeed. Go ahead and get you a new man. Get you a couple. I'm just kidding. I mean, you ain't got to roll Shearer would say, you ain't got to roll around on the mattress, but go ahead and date around. You gotta, in order to learn more about yourself, you have to relate to others. And that's why they're called relationships. You can't grow just by being alone. It's impossible, because then once you get around other people, you start having triggers, you start having to deal with other people's emotions and manage things. That's really the only way you can grow. You can learn all the things that you want to learn in a silo, but you really are not going to become a better person or a more improved version of yourself unless you are relating to other human beings. And so, yeah, go get you a couple beans. Go ahead. See what it's like out there. Shoot. Let me see if I can find another short one on my For You page before I go to the Palate Cleanser. Child, okay, what is this? Husband thinks I had an emotional affair and wants to tell everyone. I was talking to a male coworker of mine, probably more than I should, but there were no romantic or sexual feelings from my side. My husband read my texts and thinks that I was emotionally cheating on him. He got very angry, and I got angry in turn because there was nothing between me and my coworker. He stormed off and contacted his wife, coworker's wife. My coworker basically blocked me and told me to never contact him again. Then my husband sent a message to my mother and father and then my siblings. I didn't realize how angry he was, so I apologized to him and told him that I should have talked things through instead of getting defensive. He says that he needs to tell everyone we know that I was talking to another man. He is going to email everyone I know. If I haven't done anything wrong, what do I have to worry about? Then, right in front of my eyes, he looked up the email of my boss and emailed her my chats. I begged him to stop, but he just took his laptop and started messaging my childhood friends. Bro is crashing out. What did you say in the messages? That's what I was talking. You said probably more than I should. Then you said there were no romantic or sexual feelings from my side. What do you mean by that? You never said there wasn't anything inappropriately said or that you feel like there may be romantic or sexual feelings from your coworker's side. I feel like, what do people say in the comments? This is a unreliable narrator? Is that what they say? I feel like she's leaving out a lot of critical information, because why would he be crashing out like this if there wasn't something concrete within those text messages that he could point to, that he could say is very inappropriate? There has to be something in there that is quite inappropriate. Otherwise, everybody else would be looking at him like, bro, what's going on with you? So what did you do, OP? She said he came out and told me that he needs to do it. He needs everyone in the world to know what happened to him. He knows he is acting out, but if he doesn't do it, then it won't matter. I will just expect him to forget about it and will never acknowledge what I have done. After lots of begging, he stopped, but I can't know for how long. My alternate hypothesis is, and two things can be true, she could have been being inappropriate with the coworker, and also maybe the husband been doing something too. Maybe he's trying to shift the blame onto her because he knows he been doing, he been creeping too. So he taking this opportunity to be like, oh, bet, she fucked up? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm finna let everybody know. So once my affair comes out in the open, they not gonna be looking at me. They probably just gonna say, oh, he got his lick back or something like that. That could be an alternate hypothesis. Either way, I really believe it's something nefarious in those text messages. Something that she's leaving out. Somebody said, quote, probably more than I should. Another quote, from my side. And then they said, you knew what you were doing. Somebody responded, yes, OP says this man was talking about his marriage to her. If there were no feelings on her side, she should have read the room and saw what was going on. Husband definitely is being extreme, but I'd be curious to see these chats. That's what I'm saying. Where are the chats? Now, some people are saying it could just be the husband is a bit loony. They said, I disagree. This post reads that it had been made fresh from the situation, and that could mean that OP is contesting to her husband's feelings even though she did nothing wrong. I know I've been accused of doing something I didn't do, and just to get to the point of potentially making peace, I started saying things like, you're right, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done anything. When the dust finally settled and emotions had calmed, I realized that I was just reacting to a huge emotional blow-up when I hadn't even crossed any boundaries. That being said, OP probably knows that her husband will be looking at this post, and she knows that he's going to nitpick her language the same way he did those texts. I genuinely think that she's just saying things like more than I should or from my side to avoid further conflict because he's already calling her a liar and she doesn't want to appear more of a liar. Unless we see those texts, we truly can't make any judgments on it if she had an emotional affair. That is also a good point. Release the text. Release those text messages. Release the information that the American public needs to know. Now we have another person. I'm going to help you here. My wife had an emotional affair. She didn't realize she was until I caught it. She also denied it at first. Not for long, though. I guarantee in the chats your affair partner was crossing boundaries and you enjoyed the attention, so you overlooked or justified it in your head. Read the chats again. This time, have it in your head it's your husband and a female friend of his. Look at the frequency and things that shouldn't be shared outside of your marriage that were on both sides. Then consider the times that you're chatting with your friend and ignoring your husband to do so. Then you may see where he's coming from. On the other hand, he is being a bit ridiculous. He's doing additional damage in his anger. Yeah, at the end of the day, we need to see the chats. I have a feeling that she probably was saying something inappropriate. At the same time, husband is overreacting a bit, telling the family, okay, that's one thing. Emailing the chats to the boss, I guess because it's the coworker, but that just seems a bit much to me. But anyway, we'll go to the palate cleanser. This is from the Petty Revenge subreddit. Loud music at 2 a.m. I found the perfect way to shut her up. When I was in college, I had this neighbor in the dorms named Sarah. Sarah wasn't evil, just loud. Every night she'd blast music at 1 or 2 a.m., usually when I had an early class. No matter how many times people asked her to turn it down, she'd laugh it off and say, "Relax, it's college." One night, before a big exam, I was desperate for sleep. I knocked on her door around midnight and asked politely if she could lower the volume just a little. She smirked, said, "Sure," and then cranked it even louder. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, absolutely fuming. The next morning after my exam, I decided I wasn't going to let it slide. Sarah was notorious for sleeping in late, usually until noon, and she hated mornings more than anything. So, for the next week, I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. sharp, right when the hall was dead quiet, and placed my Bluetooth speaker against the thin wall we shared. I blasted the cheesiest pop songs I could find. Think bubblegum boy bands from early 2000s. The first day, she stumbled out of her room, groggy and furious. By day 3, she started begging me to stop. I just smiled and said, "Relax, it's college." Funny enough, after that week, her late night concerts mysteriously stopped. She never admitted defeat, but the silence was golden. Great job, OP. Great job. And it only took a week. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.